What's up, Rockstars? I have a great video for you guys today. We have a ton of things to go over. We got donation drives, we got Gen Con, we got upcoming games, some brand new stuff I'm going to show you, super excited about. $1 million campaigns, we got a little bit of drama at the end, we got some great news for some other things. There's just a ton of wonderful information wrapped up in this video, so let's get started. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the OOMM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. Now, as always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. If you appreciate the videos I make every single week for you guys, and you can give even $1 a month, there is a link down in the description below. Thank you so very much. And this is not a plug, but a quick shout out. I got new shirts from Into the OOMM. They're awesome. This is one of them I've been wearing all day. Super excited about it. Great shirts. There's always a link down in the description below for that channel partner. They have a 10% off discount code for you, so be sure to check that out as well. Let's dive right in. Okay, now, this is great news. This is Far Off Games 2022 Charity Auction to Fight Cancer. This is the first time they're doing that, and as you know, Cody, the designer of it, his child developed cancer and has been dealing with all of that, and it's just it's insane kind of the what that must feel like, and I can only imagine, and my deepest sympathies to everything they're working through. But they're still making progress on the game as well, somehow, and they're doing this donation drive, which is super cool. But I want to explain it a little bit. It's linked down below. It'll be the first link you see down below, actually. I'll put it at the very tippy top of the description. There are 5 chances to win everything you see here. So, Zia, Legends of the Drift System, signed by Cody. And then, of course, Emperors of the Forsaken Star, Legends of the Drift System, Cell Sword, Missions, and Powers. Just like everything you could want on that. And free shipping anywhere in the world. So they are just giving away 5 whole copies of all of this. So, big giveaway for sure. How this works is essentially you have different charities. You have the American Association for Cancer Research, the American Brain Tumor Association, the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, and the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, and lastly, the Lung Cancer Research Foundation. What it is you go to one of these, you can open it up here, and you write a comment saying how much you're willing to donate. Okay, so I know it's kind of an obtuse system. It's just how they're using Board Game Geek right now. They hope to do this annually and improve the system in the future. But essentially what you do is you put it up in there. You can only be the highest person in one of them, so that they're, getting 5 different unique users, and then, or winners, and at the very end, it has to be at least $50 more than another one, so if somebody's not sniping at $1 or something like that, it needs to be something significant. What happens is, at the very end, if you're the highest bidder, then they'll contact you, you'll pay them via PayPal, they'll then pay the charity and get you your game and get all the information. That's kind of the gist of it. So, feel free though, by the way, even if you aren't the top donator, feel free to go ahead and donate. It's a wonderful thing to do. You don't have to be bombastic about it or to shout at the top of the rooftops how amazing you are. Though, you know what? If you're donating hundreds of dollars to charity, you probably deserve it more than a lot of people that do. So, look, it doesn't really matter. The point is that the money's going to places that'll make a difference, and that's super cool. So, yeah, I wanted to open up on this because at the end of the day, guys, again, I could have reviewed Zia and said, oh yeah, it's a crap game, I don't like it at all. Okay? But Cody's a real person, and Cody's kid is dealing with stuff, and they're dealing with stuff, and they're doing these things, okay? I want to continue to humanize things. That doesn't mean you can't critique things, especially objects that are for sale that, have no feelings, but at the same time, we need to realize that there are people involved in everything I'm about to talk to in this entire video. It's real people. So just as an FYI, that's going on right now. That ends August 5th, so it's going to the second day of Gen Con, which is kind of an odd timing there, but just be on the lookout for that. Okay, so, and you can enter, by the way, just by giving a thumbs up. So even there doesn't necessarily have to be money involved as well. So if you're not going to win anyway, you can still give it a thumbs up. You can still share the word and do stuff like that. In fact, they'll be donating $1 per thumb up, which is super cool as well. Okay, next up, Nexus Arena Combat System. I wanted to note, by the way, first of all, this did reach its funding goal, obviously, and it's continuing to grow. 47 days left. Again, this is a guaranteed game in an era where I'm about to show a whole bunch of games. Not all of them are delivering smoothly, okay? As we know, there's some big issues there. This game is already being developed and made and will be sent to you very soon when you back this. So it's nice to get a surefire bet like that. I think that's super cool. And again, there's a ton of time left because they're just going to, I guess, leave it open while they manufacture. So 47 days left on this one, which is super neat. It's an arena combat, very inspired by like 80s, over excessively gory, like violent stuff. So there's like people ripping hearts out and bloody traps everywhere. And it's ridiculous and bombastic. Okay, next up, Moonrakers Titan. This is the big mamma jamba on any crowdfunding board game site right now. 1.4 million, almost 1.5 million. That is crazy cool. Almost 10,000 backers. It's roguelike. It's got holographic cards. It's sci-fi. It's got a lot of cool stuff going for it, and people seem to be going gaga over it. It's by Ivy Studios, which is a well-regarded studio that has a lot of people jazzed about their products, and that's super great to see. Again, sounds like a quality backing and a safe backing, and at the end of the day, that's what we want these days, right? So yeah, Moonraker Titans there as well. Alright, next up we have Return to Dark Tower. This is on backer kit, but also broke a million, $1.1 million raised, 10,000 backers. It's crazy. 17 days left. Again, this is on backer kit. I'll link to it down below. It's kind of, I don't even know if you can necessarily navigate to it. It's still kind of in beta, as you can see, backer kit beta, so they're still working on all of that, but this is definitely interesting. This is huge success for them. It looks very pretty. Again, well-regarded game, new expansion, new stuff to enjoy, tons of people liking it, so it looks like, again, a pretty safe bet. The one thing I will say is, with shipping how it is, and if you're buying a big tower, know that going in. Just put two and two together and get 5 or something like that. That's how the shipping, I think, works these days. Dodos riding Dinos. It's a reprint plus a new Dodo Dash expansion. That just sounds silly and fun, and my kids, I showed this to my kids, and they're like, oh, you should get that. That looks awesome. And I'm like, we need to play our other games first before I buy games just for family time. We got plenty of family games, but if you are not in my position and you are looking for a family game or a family game night game, this looks like it would be great. And look at that, $39 for the standalone expansion. That means you can play it on its own. Love standalone expansions. I really do. I think that's great. So a lot of silliness, a lot of fun. It's got minis in it. And it's cheap. So there's that too. So while it's only 154,000, there's actually over 2,000 backers. Again, it's kind of a cheaper price. And so those numbers, you have to have a whole bunch to kind of get higher. I think a lot of times people inflate that number there just by making things super freaking expensive. We'll see a few of those here very shortly, like right here, Euthia Resurrected. This 1.2 million, it has been doing bonkers good, which is awesome to see Euthia doing so well. It's well regarded, 8.8 on BGG, as they say. People say it's a lot of fun. The people that I have personally spoken to that have played it have said it's great, which is awesome. That being said, takes up a lot of table space, takes up a lot of shelf space. It's a big, big game. All the minis are big. Everything's big. Euthia doesn't do anything small. And what else is big is the price. It's about $180 for the core box and $170 for the expansion. That's right, it pretty much doubles the cost, so it's very, very expensive, but very, very cool. So just go into it knowing that you're not going to come out like with anywhere cheap at all. But it looks great, and it's got some really cool minis and cool classes, and I'm glad to see them doing well. That's awesome. Silver Coin, Age of Monster Hunters. Again, another game that is bombastically big. So there are these big games, and I guess what I will say is, realize, hey, you're going in to an expensive thing here that's really big, that'll cost a lot in shipping. I want you guys to go into your campaigns knowing that, so that you're not blindsided by it or surprised by it. We're going to be talking about shipping prices in a little bit, of course, but so just realize the quantity of stuff you're buying, the size of the stuff you're buying. I don't want anybody to be blindsided or put in money and then be frustrated when it costs so much. And know the added risk of shipping big, giant, expensive things. it's harder to do than you might think. Okay, so this anyway did fund well. It's already over $100,000, which I consider a success for something that's first time like this. So I think that's great. They're already starting to unlock some stretch goals. Again, another big game. This thing will take up your entire table, but looks pretty cool. You got all the minis, and you're moving around and activating, and you got like different zones and regions and stuff like that. It's kind of actually hard to make sense of how the game plays. They do have some videos though, so if you are interested in how the game plays, I would suggest watching one of those. Don't really bother too much with the video up here, or even anything they write. It's mostly just stuff for sale, as opposed to really explaining the game too much, but they do have some gameplay videos, so feel free to check those out. Alright, following up, we have Roots of Revenge, The Fatal Forest. This looks like a ton of fun, and look, 5,002 out of 5,000, so it's funded, and just now funded. I wanted to give this a shout out because it's by a friend of the channel, but more importantly, it just looks freaking fun. It reminded me of Dark Cloud 2. If you've ever played Dark Cloud 2 back on like the PlayStation 2, I think it was PlayStation 2. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. I think it was PlayStation 2. Anyway, they had the giant tree that you could like, have a little, an eye here, and a mouth, and then you went to like the future and you could see, anyway, it's like a live forest that you can go on. One of the cool things though, first of all, is the size, but notice it has spots to actually stand your minis on. I always appreciate terrain that does that. And they're very D&D kind of focused here. There are two different versions. They have STLs, they have physical prints. It's huge. It's like 7 centimeters tall or inches tall, 7 inches tall, I think. So yeah, really, really cool looking for sure. And something that I would highly suggest you check out. Next up, we have Nkosi, The Fallen Sage. This is again another physical. You can get the actual mini, or you can get the STL. Just fantastic quality stuff. The Black Forge Games make some beautiful, beautiful minis. If you are a miniature painter, you owe it to yourself to paint one of their minis. I don't care which one it is. I don't care what it's from. They've done 3 campaigns now. Trust me, it's amazing. It's great. They print out fantastic. The physical prints that they provide, if you buy that, if you don't have a 3D printer, fantastic. The scale is huge. It's just magnificent. It really is nice. So highly suggest that. Great quality product there. Okay, this is exciting. I'm super excited about this. I'm actually more excited to show you this than anything else in this video because I go like gaga over this. I really do. So this is Stworze, I think is kind of how you pronounce it, Rebirth. What this was a Polish only game that has now been made internationally, but still very low volume, very indie, very small. They're doing a crowdfunding version to really get it out. And I'm almost goosebumps level excited about this because it's Slavic in every sense of the word, in the art and the style. You actually play as the like Slavic, like you play as a Leshy kind of thing, right? So all these mythological creatures and stuff that they have, well, you actually are controlling them, trying to like have, like more influence over the realm or something like that. So super unique. It's very, very pretty. It reminds me so much of Forest of Radgost, which we'll see later on in this video actually for a specific reason. But if you don't know about Forest of Radgost, oh my gosh, it was such a pretty game, such a wonderful experience. It's still my favorite prototype I've ever received. Just a joy to experience, and this looks so freaking pretty, so good. I mean, everything about this is just something. I mean, it has all these beautiful like wolf looking kind of like pictures here, and these like I don't know what style you would call that. It's almost like a watercolor kind of thing, but like all sepia toned and everything. But as you can see there, it has like this beautiful bag, wooden dice and tokens, and it's just oozing with flavor and theme. I mean, look at that board. It looks fantastic, guys. It really, really does. Super impressed by that. I love everything I see here. I think it looks great. There's a lot of different missions to go off of and things to do, a ton of different cards and stuff. It just looks so freaking pretty. I love it. I mean, this, guys, at the end of the day, we are buying physical products, very expensive physical products. Okay? I mean, that's everything down there is something I can see, and I look at for hours, and I can touch and interact with and feel. And that's part of the joy of these board games. That's part of the joy of getting together and doing this, is it's not just pressing buttons and then kind of your mind escapes. Instead, it's you actively kind of interacting with these objects in interesting and unique ways. And that means that, and to me at least, that means I want something that's almost a work of art, right? That's beautiful, that's pretty, that is captivating. And I feel that this is it. I highly recommend this. Again, it'll be linked down in the description below. Let's show them some love, because I love stuff like this. I really do. And, they're super indie, so I don't know how much traction they're going to get or what other channels will even cover their stuff, but I definitely wanted to show this one off. I'm super excited about that. Speaking of which, another kind of similar thing, Thorgal here, the board game. My understanding this is based off of a graphic novel or comic book. I don't know if it was only graphic novel form or if it was like more issued comic book style, but either way, the art style looks great. I've heard it's kind of like Conan, but it's like this guy and his family going on these adventures. It's 10 different scenarios with a whole bunch of different like maps that you can go and some character development, some different things that like you make decisions and go, but they're all individual stories instead of like some big campaign thing. It sounds really, really interesting. They're using stuff like from Puerto Rico Race for the Galaxy, where essentially the active player picks a action that people are doing and you do the full thing and everybody does like the lesser thing. So it sounds interesting and it looks pretty. It looks pretty. I mean, again, it's based off of a comic book, so obviously it's going to have a very stylized look of it. And considering I heard Conan mentioned with it, yeah, color me interested for sure. Next up, Tainted Grail, Kings of the Rune. I'm just looking at all the pretty games today. That's what I'm doing today. And this is no doubt going to be, everything Awakened Realms looks like a freaking work of art. They have fantastic artists. This is the standalone, kind of sequel to Tainted Grail. So you don't have to play the previous one, but it will be here. Over 150 plus hours of narrative content already created for Tainted Grail to make the Kings of Ruin one of the most mechanically polished and most exciting stories in board games. That's a tall order for sure. Hopefully there's less grind. I suspect there will be. And of course, as you can see, the style is just ridiculously awesome. If you're into like Dark Souls and Elden Ring and stuff like that, this is going to be your jam. It's going to be awesome. All right, new stuff. Steamforged Games acquires Rivet Wars. Rivet Wars, I don't know. There should be an image. I feel like there should be an image here. There should be an image. I don't know where the image is. Rivet Wars is kind of like a, you can almost think of it as like Advanced Wars, if you remember that video game. It's very kind of cartoony, skirmish, miniature board game stuff. I'm in contact with them to see about maybe taking a look at that physically. So we'll see how that is. If nothing else, I'll check it out at Gen Con and let you guys know. But they acquired the rights to this to be able to play that. This will be, I think, their next big Kickstarter. That being said, my goodness, they have had a lot of Kickstarters. I think they need to take a tiny little bit of a break. Okay, DC deck building game. This is the 10th anniversary. One thing, there will be a Gen Con. There will be exclusive stuff there, including this playmat and including this card here. However, when I say exclusive, I mean temporarily exclusive. It will be online at the web store afterwards. So one thing they learned from here is that people want the promos, right? So that being said, I'm totally going and grabbing these because I love this game. Play it all the time with my family. My kids enjoy it. They can play it. There's a lot of different ways to play. You can play co-op, semi-co-op, competitive. One of the best things I actually really like to do, there's a expansion where essentially there's a group of heroes that you are and a group of villains that the other people are. And your goal is to take over these, you know, like Apocalypse or, you know, the other planet. I can't think of it, New Eden. And I normally play the villains, whatever. Anyway, so you're doing that, but you can have other people like defend against them, so it's harder to attack. But you still, while you are all trying to do that, you're still trying to work together, or still trying to win as well. And so you can actually help defend the planet that you're trying to destroy. And there's a lot of fun stuff, a lot of nuance in there. I know that a lot of reviews only kind of cover the basic core box stuff, but the expansions are not very expensive and they add a ton of flavor to it. Very much enjoy it. So I went all in. I bought everything I could on this game. So, definitely excited to get more of it. But don't fret. Don't worry. It'll be available later on as well. Okay, Batman Gotham City Chronicles Season 3, big news here. First of all, the minis, they look great. Here's Azrael, and then we have the dog, and then we have the Drowned. The dog is obviously the highlight. Everybody loves the dog, and he looks super great. The sculpts, by the way, I mean, do look very impressive. They certainly do. We'll see how the final version comes. But one of the things they noticed, I think it's up here. Anyway, they did a survey, right? And one of the things they noticed is that, hey, people want pretty much everything. And so that's what they're going to do. They are going to print, essentially reprint everything. So if you wanted something from Batman, from Season 1, Season 2, and you didn't get it, that'll be in the Pledge Manager. In other words, the Pledge Manager will be huge. Now, One thing to note, first of all, that's a ton of game. Okay. Second of all, it's a lot. It's 3 Kickstarters worth of game. So it's a lot of game. And then third of all, realize that Monolith is one of the ones that said essentially, hey, shipping isn't too expensive for us. We can do it, fairly cheaply, and you don't have to worry about it. So thankfully, they are able to get kind of good deals and ship cheaper than perhaps some other companies. And so it's a safer bet if you're going to buy something big from a company that has kind of gone on record to say that. There's more about that, by the way, but we'll touch that later. Dawn of Madness, it's still a thing. Look at this. So they actually have a lot of the printed material here. It's still being slightly tweaked, but that's a lot of it. The big thing to come here, first of all, there'll be a Gen Con and they might have Celestial. If so, I will force them to show that to me. I will talk about it for sure with them. So that's great because Twisted Fables is great. Deep Madness is well liked by a whole slew of people. Dawn of Madness looks super cool, so it's taking forever to freaking get out the door. Celestial looks awesome as well. So definitely excited, and I'm glad to finally see some progress on here. However, they rewrote somebody's entire story, which is a massive amount. There is so much here, right? So what they're saying here is a typical, on average, story-driven core game contains one book between 40 to 70,000 words. Emily's story alone is 100,000 words, and there are 4 of those in this campaign. In other words, the scope is just ridiculous. It's just crazy. Now, you won't actually read all 100,000 of those. You kind of get the story in snippets, and depending on your path and things that happen and all that kind of stuff, you won't actually read every single bit of that unless you do multiple playthroughs. But it's a lot. That being said, they're only about halfway done. But I think because I had to redo somebody's and because they've learned some things, hopefully the second half comes quicker. That's my hope. That Brian can really, bang this out. But anyway, that's kind of what they're doing right now, tweaking a little few things there. The minis are obviously all done, and they are just working on that story pretty much by the looks of it. Star of Akirios, this is a great little story to share. I wanted to share this update. I'm going to start doing that. Anytime I see an update that, is really interesting in some way, I want to start sharing it a little bit, whether it's just a dive into something or an insight into something or just good news. What was great about this is Brendan here wrote essentially, hey, okay, so first of all, everybody's getting their game and they're loving it. This is a time where most board game developers would be doing this. Pat themselves in the back. Good, I'm so awesome, I'm great, I'm amazing, I did this wonderful thing, which is, by all means, I don't have necessarily an issue with that, but he is so targeted with this. He's like, hey, guys, you're loving the game. That's great. It's pretty much delivered. It's going out to people. People are enjoying it. Here's what I've learned. Here's how we're going to make things better. Here's some challenges I did. And he makes a whole update about this. Challenge 1, customer service and communications. He talks about the issue very honestly, very opening, and then solutions he hopes to have for in the future. Challenge number 2, fulfillment. Again, a little bit of an explanation and then some solutions. Challenge number 3, rulebook editing and balance. Same thing, some solutions. Challenge 4, transition packs and the chairship, which people got confused on how that works. And that is amazing for a developer to do that. It's hard. It's hard to hear feedback, especially negative feedback or critical feedback, especially with something that you worked hard on. It's very hard. And I commend anybody who does this. But there are people who hear your criticisms, scoff at it. There are people who hear your criticisms, ignore it. People that don't hear your criticisms because they don't care. And then there are a select few people, Brandon obviously being one of them, but there's been a few other companies like that. Red Joker has done that. Dragori Games has done that. There's a lot of companies that have done this where they hear criticism and they say, hey, could you tell me more? I want to know everything about this. Like, how could I make this better? How could I improve this? How could I improve that? Just kind of roll up your sleeves style attitudes about this, and highly commended. That's awesome that they're doing that. So yeah, mad props to them for that. And by the way, you'll see it might be the next video actually. You'll see an unboxing of this here real soon. Okay, DEI, I never would have thought I would have been doing another update on this, but this is actually a huge thing. So first of all, it is coming, right? North America, the 2 ships that transported DEIs. I'm almost sad it's only 2 ships. This is a very fun game, by the way. I loved DEI. Really enjoyed my time with the prototype. So, yeah, obviously I bought this. I'm like all about it. Yeah, let's get it. So that's really cool. Anyway, it's coming. It's being delivered as we speak. It's getting to the hub. It's going to be coming out. I think that's great. This is, and they don't have a good transition here. This is the current state of DEI shipment, but we wanted to tell you more about LMS. And now this is great to hear. I'm really glad that a lot of companies are reacting to this. They're seeing some other companies struggle and they're like, okay, we're going to like proactively start the communication. And that's the key, is just communicating. Just keep in talk with us. What's going on with the company? How's it going? And that's exactly what they do here, right? Is they kind of talk about it. Projects that do not achieve the desired result during crowdfunding. We believe it is strategically too risky to entrust the solidity of our business solely on the results of crowdfunding platforms. Amen. The worst kind of YouTuber to make money is the one that only relies on YouTube to make money. It's why you have merch. It's why you have Amazon links. It's why you have a Patreon. It's why you have memberships. It's why you have super chats. It's why you have YouTube. It's why you have sponsors. It's why you diversify income of any endeavor, I would think, so that your eggs aren't all in one basket, right? It's kind of like way back when like potatoes went bad and Poland like starved to death because that's what they ate, is potatoes, right? And it's like, you don't just put everything in one thing so that when that one thing goes, it burns everything else, because that's what you're reliant on. So I'm really glad to see that. That's a very positive thing to do. And it's very nice for me, the consumer, to read that knowing that you realize that as well, that the company says, hey, it'd be kind of stupid if we relied solely on this and did nothing else out of there, right? And so, you see stuff like Awaken Realms that has, they even have like a bar, right? But they also have Game Found and stuff like that. Diversification, retail, all that, genius, love it, support it, do that. Be a smart business person. Not that I'm an expert at all, but I feel not putting all your eggs in one basket is almost a saying that people say. I think I've heard a few people say that before. So that's great. That's great to see. Conditions that change in the time span between the collection of funds to deliver the game. I've talked about this too, right? What makes Kickstarter weird is there's this huge gap between I paid for it and I'm getting the game. And all the costs, there's a group of costs here and there's a group of costs here, but everybody paid here. And so there's like this huge awkwardness about it. And if a company normally makes bad decisions and goes under, that just means they can't help future customers. When it's on Kickstarter, it means everybody that they have undelivered, right? Because they have customers with nothing. And that's an unusual and odd situation. And just like they said, it's unusual and odd. And I said way back when, right, that one of the things I think we'll see is campaigns with games that are more done. Right? Stuff like Trudvang Legends that was done, Dawn of Madness 2, that was done super early in the development cycle. We're not going to see that as often anymore because it's not as viable because you have such a longer lag. That's those games that take forever to make because they ain't made yet. They ain't even close to being made yet. The rules aren't even finalized yet, right? The Everrain, that was another thing. It was long overdue on that. And that's why, because it was super early in development. That's why they didn't really have a rule book. They didn't finish. When you backed that game, you didn't even know how to beat the game. Anyway, it just, like, these games, I think, need more time in the oven and then shown. And that's what they're saying. Hey, we're going to do that. However, we want to actually engage with our customers and our backers and help them develop. So they're actually going to start that cooperative part of it before the campaign, then launch the campaign, and then deliver the campaign. Now, I don't know about you, but this sounds like I think everybody just won. It means backers get engagement. It means the company has less risk, which means because it's less risky, they can give us a better deal. They have better numbers, so they're financially better. Everything is better. And you get your game sooner, so you're out money less. It's fantastic, and I love it. I think more companies should do this. I really do. I think this is the future, because this is the safest bet for people making the game and for us. It doesn't mean you have to develop it. You don't have to do all those super expensive costs, and you still can have just as much art as you did before or anything like that. That's fine. But now you aren't risking your entire company on it because you're diversifying and you're making a tighter window of delivery. Everybody wins. It's awesome. I think that's great. And then they talk about their three outstanding ones besides DEI, plus their light version as well. But that's awesome. That's great to see. I love sharing these positive things. Speaking of positive things, I told you we'd see Force of Radgost again. I really love showing off this game anytime I can. One of the great things about this was the same thing. They're talking about essentially, hey, look, shipping got expensive and we were late. Okay, so yeah, that sucks. However, they're being very, very straightforward, very honest, and very humble about it. Let me tell you what they're doing here. So they're talking about everything, and really what they see here, small help would be appreciated. Although shipping will cost more than we have foreseen, we've decided to cover the difference from our profit margins. We will give a chance for those who want to help. Share this burden to donate for shipping by buying a few digital illustrations for $5 or a bigger pack for $10. This is not obligatory in any way. We will deliver the all games anyhow. And then it says here, ocean freight. Ocean freight is down compared to last year. First of all, it's great to start the sentence with it's down, it's cheaper, but still considerably higher than when we made the Kickstarter campaign, for sure. And has given you a shipping price estimate. For example, containers were around 5,000 USD from China to the US. When they made our estimate, we will now pay 10,000. 10,000 is what they're paying. I don't know if you've heard this kind of quoted elsewhere where people are getting around this price, around this 10K, lower tens price, but there are companies doing it. So yeah, and trust me when I say that I don't think the fees are going to double that 10,000. So some companies are shipping cheaper. And honestly, it's just, I mean, duh, of course. For instance, you can pay premium where you can get expedited shipping and tracking on the boats and all this other fanciness. Just like when you ship something, if you wanted to ship something to me, you have a variety of choices with a variety of prices on how to ship it. Okay? Well, it's the same thing in everything, right? You can do it cheaper, you can do it more expensive, you can get better deals, you can get worse deals, you can go through this company or that company. Now, granted, prices are up just in general, but there is definitely a wide margin of how expensive these shippings are, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. So it's great to see that they're getting some cheap shipping. Okay. And it's great to see that because of that cheap shipping, it's not costing them a whole bunch more. There's the size and weight thing, right? They're talking about that and the increased price of the land transport. But overall, it says that they'll be short around 20 to 30,000. But guess what? They can cover that in their profits because the margin on these Kickstarter games is at least 30%, often much, much more. For instance, they will sell to retail at more than 30% less, and there's not losing money on every item sold either. It's not a pure loss. The profits are much less. Hopefully you're making it up in volume, but these are very profitable margins, and if you do things right, you can actually make money. So that's great to see. It's great to see indie developers showing up these big companies, showing how to run a lean business and communicate well and ship things well, and that's awesome. Let's go to Darkest Dungeon. First of all, right off the bat, to every backer, our deepest apologies for any confusion of the last update caused. That was not our intent. Okay, so it says our deepest apologies, and that's great to see. Thank you, and we are sorry. But it's really apologizing for this email. They accidentally sent an email to everybody. First up, thank you for many reasons, and we are sorry. The entire Mythic Games team thanks you, the people that are left at the company. Thank you for those of you who have been able to contribute. We thank you. Again, we thank you. Very thankful. We thank you again. They are like gushing. They are gushing. So far, more than 50% of you have made your contribution. I actually need to do that. So let's go ahead and actually do that. I'll go and do that. You guys will see me spend money. Let's spend $54 on this junk. What is this? Add items, the one you previously... Wait, what is... It appears you already have another pledge for this project. Yes. 2 items for 360 placed on... Wait, what? No. Add items from your previous pledges. No. Wait. What's going on? What do I have in my cart? What is this? Yeah, this is just shipping. I don't want no 360. Let's just click continue. Maybe I can remove it. Oh, whoop. Please choose one of the options. Okay, no, I don't want that. So I guess make a new pledge? Continue? Okay, alright. Where are we at? Okay, this is shipping. I'll have to block out all this. Wait. I don't think this is right either. Gosh dang it, how is this so confusing? You know what, guys, I'm going to do this off camera. It's just so obtuse. Predefine items from the creator. Manage your pledge. Like, is it a whole new one? Do I need... Whatever, I'll figure it out later, guys. I don't know what's going on. That's dumb. I thought I was just going to do it. And it's like, that's not the most obvious way of doing things. I don't want to spend $360. I'm done spending $360 right now. But my goodness. Okay, anyway. Okay, so they're talking about all this. Secondly, the first shipments. But that's just it. I want the game. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. The game looks great. It does. It looks awesome. I am so excited for Darkest Dungeon. Mythic Games makes some of my favorite games. I loved Solomon Kane. I thoroughly enjoyed Monster Apocalypse. Anasteer was a dream come true. These games are super great. They are. They're really nice. I like them. I like them a lot. It's why I spent so much money on them. And I'm sure it will still be great when it arrives. It just sucks that all of this kind of had to happen. One thing I will note, and this isn't just related to, let me see what else I even have. What am I doing here? Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So I do have one more thing I want to show you guys. But I'll talk about this first. So, by the way, it's Monolith's next big game. Big, massive game. I'm going to show you a picture of it. It's going to be super awesome. But let's talk about this here real quick. One thing I want to see. Let's go back to the Forest of Radgost. First of all, humbleness is great. That's awesome. Optional helping is great. Offering something in return is great, right? All these things. Hindsight 2020, of course, for any creator that hasn't done this. But one thing I think is awesome is seeing personal sacrifice and really understanding that personal sacrifice. So, in other words, let's say you're short, right? You're short on delivering something, right? Let me give you an example. With Succubus Publishing, they did Madara. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about the hustle and the personal sacrifice that went into this. So they launched Madara, funded pretty well on Kickstarter. This is the first one, right? Not the Ultimate Malatum or whatever. Not Acts 1 through 3, just Act 1 from the first campaign. And guess what? It was super delayed. It was super massive in scope. But they did way more. They wanted the quality to be this and that and have fancy tiles and do all of this. And it was freaking expensive. And all that together, as along with just two guys that were just getting into this and didn't know exactly what they were getting themselves into, they ran out of money. They couldn't deliver it. Now, you could just say that they sit back and say, all right, backers, pay us more. They could have done that. That's certainly a possibility. But they didn't. You know what they did? They freaking hustled. They put all their personal money into this. They hustled with jobs, with talking to investors, and they pitched to investors like nobody's business. I actually have a few of their slides they used for that, and to this day I'm just impressed with the amount of effort they put and the amount of time that they put and personal sacrifice they made to get backers their games. But they did. And you know what happened? They got so rewarded in their next campaign. So rewarded. And I just think that's great. People realized the sacrifice. People realized the effort, saw the hustle, knew about it, understood it. They communicated the whole time. They delivered it. They made things right. And they were rewarded for it. I think that's awesome. So I guess that's all I'm going to say is I want to see more of that. I want to see some hustle from these companies that are asking for more. Because it's very easy. Again, like I said, you don't have to do anything. You could just sit here and make other people sacrifice. You can make the backers, spend money. You can have people lose their jobs. You can have this. You can have that. For all the flack we give Peterson Games, he did the same thing, right? Selling his essentially a lot of his retirement money and stuff like that he had built up to make things matter. And he actually did a great video on that, and I'll link to that down below as well. But where he's not talking about that per se. He's just saying that like, hey, we're gonna get this right. We're going to deliver. We're going one campaign at a time, and that's our dedication is to do that. And he's had to fire one of his sons even and lay off people, and it's been messy and it's been bad, and nobody's perfect. I'm not trying to say people need to be perfect. Okay, and I'm not saying these games are bad either. The games and how they're delivered and how they're made are very different things, right? That's why when I try to review games, I try to review the game. Because at the end of the day, when somebody sees it on a shelf, they're not thinking about all the issues behind it with the company or who made it or how or whatever, right? Is the game good or not, right? So I try to do that unless it affects the game. Otherwise, you review based off the game itself. And so these games are great. I'm sure Peterson Games has made some of people's favorite games ever. Mythic Games has made some of people's favorite games ever, right? They're not necessarily even bad developers. It just, if we're going to give, we want to see a lot of give back. And even if there has been, that doesn't mean it's been communicated very well. And that goes for a whole bunch of people. So anyway, it's really great to see more communication happening, whether it's stuff like this, whether it's,
the stars of Radgost that, are like saying, hey, here's some issues, here's what we're going to do better. Or Ludus Magnus Studio saying, hey, don't worry about it. We got our Monolith saying, hey, don't worry, you won't have to pay more. Just that reassurance that things are okay is actually really nice to see. I think that's awesome. So finally, let's take a look at this. This is something from Monolith 2020. I can't remember if it's actually 3 or 4. They said it in the comments. Maybe one of them can let us know. Is this your big 2023 game? Is it 2024? I think it's probably 2023. I don't think it's 2 years out, but yeah. I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is? I don't either. So we'll find out, I guess. But anyway, guys, that is it. That is a big freaking update. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Again, we got that unboxing coming up. We got some Gen Con content coming up. There's a ton of fun to be had. Again, a whole bunch of links down below, especially with that donation drive and stuff like that. Have a wonderful day. Take care, guys. Bye.